Hi, I'm Mike McTaggart with Intelligence Catalyst. Happy to come to you today with a fellow Duke alum, Dr. Ken Russell.
Hi, folks. I'm Dr. Ken Russell. I'm here today with Mike McTaggart, and we are with Intelligence Catalyst with Executive Voices.
Have you talked on AI's inability to innovate? So one of the concerns I have about AI, and especially this boom of generative AI, is that it's perceived to be innovative. It's perceived to be creative. And in fact, fundamentally, what we see as AI is still just a regurgitation, an assimilation of everything that has already been created. Now, it may be presented in a new and novel way, but it's not fundamentally new. AI, as it exists today, does not have the capacity to invent.
Right.
And thus, innovation in its true sense, and invention, is still a distinctly human trait. We have to remember that.
And always will be. And I think that's what's really exciting about what's going on with AI, and generative AI in particular, that there's a buzz. Mm-hmm. People are excited about it. But human behavior being what it is, people tend to gravitate to what they know. And what they know is churn. And I hate to say it, but it's true. We all are kind of expecting some sort of discord or some sort of dissonance or some sort of disorienting kind of dilemma that we have to deal with. And it's no different with the generative AI. What's really exciting about what I'm picking up on is that while people are concerned and let's use that word, they're scared, mm-hmm. and there's a fear there. I think it takes us to the first rule of innovation, okay? And that is you can't be innovative if you're not safe. All right? So think about that. Let that sink in for a second. Not just physically safe, mm-hmm. but psychologically safe. You've got to be safe in order for you to say, okay, how do we actually do something different? So going back to that transformation word too, once we've transformed and we're ready to do something different, of course we're looking for something new. Of course we're looking for something, better. And the human behavior aspect is that, gosh, wouldn't it be easier if someone else just did that for me, right? But the problem is that that's a crutch. Mm-hmm. And we've got to make sure that we feel safe. We've got to make sure that we have room to invent, and we've got to make sure that when those ideas start popping, that we can actually do something with them. There's nothing worse than having to have these wonderful ideas when you're driving into work one day, or
right.
before you hop onto that Zoom meeting, and then something happens, some sort of crisis, some sort of thing that brings you back down to the day-to-day grind, and then you forgot that idea. That wonderful idea is gone. So you've got to find a way to nurture those good inventions, nurture those good innovations, but you've got to do it in a safe environment.
Yeah. Well, I think there is some conflict in language. And we talk about innovation and associate it with the idea of challenging the status quo. But how does an organization encourage a challenge without it coming across as adversarial? Because those two words seem to connect together. How can I challenge without being naturally somewhat adversarial?
Yeah, that's a really good point. A lot of folks, they don't like conflict. And particularly the generational shift that we have going on right now. Last count, I think we've got 5 different generations working side by side.
Wow! And
it's getting real noticeable because the older generation and the youngest, the outliers, mm-hmm. have nothing in common whatsoever. It seems. I hate to say that, but it really is true. We did a study several years ago when I was at Cisco, and believe it or not, when I was growing up and coming up, the most important thing was salary. Mm-hmm. I had to go get that big salary. But for the younger folks, I think this was Gen Z we were talking about, they would rather have less money but great internet. You see, and
right.
that's a big
it's
change.
The experience of life,
right?
Day to day.
The lifestyle, right? Mm-hmm. This idea of my work is not my life. My life is my life, and they're right, of course. But we were all taught something different. So
right.
we've spent the past, X number of years in this career chasing the dollar. Mm-hmm. And that's not necessarily good, folks. It's just the way it is.
It's the reality.
It's the reality. So then when you talk about, trying to change that or transform that in an organization, whether it's a very specific effort or whether it's more of a casual mindset change, right? It's different for people. It's difficult for people depending on who they are and how old they are and what they've come up with and what they've experienced. That's why I think that traditional training programs are lacking. It has to be an experiential learning opportunity, immersive learning, and it has to be something that's recursive, that is over and over and over again until people, number one, feel safe, and number two, feel trust, and number three, the anxiety level goes down. Because when you say something about when an organization, hey, we're going to transform, the first thing that goes up is that hair on the back of the neck. Oh my gosh, we're going to do that again. So there are ways to do it. That's why I think Intelligence Catalyst and our approach of using an intelligent way of doing this is so valuable.